Hello and welcome to an update of the Goldilocks experiment. What I'm showing you here is the food, the kitchen scraps, and the bedding for these three bins. And you can see we have the very small cut up pieces, the larger chunks, and the whole pieces. This is celery. We're also going to add cardboard. This is the same amount of cardboard, but this is going in whole. This is the really finely shredded pieces, the one that went through my shredder. And this is what I cut up by hand. But isn't it interesting? This is exactly the same amount of bedding. This is the different ways that it looks like. So let's start with our baby bin and give these guys feeding. Let's see what's going on in here. I really should put another piece of newspaper here so I can remember where I fed. But these guys go through the food so quickly. Yep. Moist. Moist. But these guys are doing great. You can see how happy they are, how chunky and healthy they are. Just going to turn the bin over. Getting a lot of castings in here. Very nice. Wetter than I'd like. What are you gonna do about that, huh? Okay, well, let's do this corner here. I'm going to put down the appropriate bedding, which is these pieces here. Here we go. And then of course, the finely cut up food. Celery in this case. And, oops, forgot my eggshells. Here we go. Just a little buffer for them. And we're going to cover this up with existing castings. And I put the cardboard at the bottom so it can absorb the majority of the water as the celery releases the liquid. It's going to absorb into the cardboard. Okay. So we're done here. Let's go over to the mama bin. Okay, so here is our mama bin. And let's see what these guys are doing. Little crawler here on top. So this is the bin that has, I would say, the most balanced moisture level. It's very nice, it's flaky, moist, but it doesn't feel wet. But even this one is now beginning to get a little bit wetter just due to the fact that there's so much, there's more material and there's a lot more castings in here. And castings, as you know, retain moisture very, very well. So this is where we fed, and let's see what these guys have done here. Mostly the skins. Yeah, mostly the skins. These guys have gone through the food, and we still have plenty of bedding, so that's good. Yeah, so this is the most balanced bin, I would say. Out of all three, this is the most balanced as far as moisture. So we are going to feed these guys up now that I turned over the material. And, okay, well, let me just do it right here. Pull back some of the castings, and I'm going to add the bedding. It seems like a lot of bedding compared to that finely shredded one, and it's hard to believe that it's exactly the same. And we're going to put this right on top, and as it releases the water content in the celery, it's going to keep that nice and moist, not overly wet. At least that's what I'm hoping. So let's give it the eggshells and cover this thing up, keeping it all nice and moist. Gotta keep it nice and moist. And then I'm gonna mark the area where we fed. I actually marked the baby bin as well once I stopped filming, so that I know where I fed. Okay, this one is done. Let's go over to the Papa bin. So here's our last bin. And, oh, wow. I just can't get over how wet everything is in this bin. I mean, it squishes. Can you hear it? Oof. Unbelievable. Same amount of worms, same quantity of materials by weight, but totally different feel. I mean, these guys are composting the material faster, and yet there's less surface area because I don't cut the food nor the bedding up into small pieces. Interesting, huh? Yeah. Wet, 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 wet. See how it just sticks to the gloves? Wet. So this is where we put the pepper. We made a burrito last week. Let's see how these guys have done in here. Well, just the skins mostly are left. Yeah. Just the skins. And a lot of happy worms. But very, very wet. Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully the cardboard will do a better job of absorbing some of that excess liquid. So let me then put it on this end. And I'm just going to lay it just literally like this. Just cover the bottom. cover as much area as I can. There we go. So something like that. Okay, and then we'll put these whole pieces. Now, celery has a lot of water content. And when you cut celery, of course, some of that water is lost. Whereas here, I didn't cut it, it's whole. So there's still a lot of water to be released in there. So I'm sure it's going to be nice and wet in no time at all. I'm just going to, again, cover this up as best we can. Boy, oh boy, that stuff is moist. Yeah, very squishy, very wet material. And I just can't get over that. Still can't get over that because I've always been told that the worms will work over the finely shredded or smaller piece material faster than they would when you put something in large chunks. And yet, look how quickly they work over the bedding when it goes in whole like that. As well as the food actually, so. Okay, so we've done our feeding, we've put in new bedding, and hopefully it's going to dry this out a bit more. Otherwise, I'm actually going to have to put in more bedding into this bin and the baby bin, and leave the mama bin alone. So the two bins are going to get more bedding just to make sure that everything in here stays nice and healthy for the worms. We don't want the material to become so wet that it'll go anaerobic. That's my main issue. So we'll see. But that's our update. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for joining me.